trying to protect your soul. Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explore right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you're watching in the world, welcome along to the next round of TT Masters League. And this round takes us to the one that the drivers have probably been dreading since they saw the calendar. It is, of course, the Monaco Grand Prix, and better yet, it'll be under the floodlights here in this province. My name is Kieran McGinley, and joining me for this one, as always, is the lovely, the fantastic Mr. James here. James, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good, Kieran. How's yourself?
Yeah, much cooler this time around. I will say that right now. It's much cooler, it's much nicer, much more comfortable in our commentary box tonight. But welcome along to this one, to what is arguably the toughest track on the calendar. I mean, lots of drivers, myself as a driver, I would not be looking forward to this. But there's something about Monaco under the lights that gives it some sort of redeeming factor. It's a track that really limits overtaking. It is the most important qualifying session of the season. James, have you got anything else to add at all about the toughest street circuit on the calendar?
It's going to be a real test for the drivers, and I think anybody that shows up tonight just has to give themselves a pat on the back beforehand, because this is really mentally draining, I think, for our drivers tonight. We've got 10 currently within the lobby, hopefully more to come. It's going to be a very interesting night, though.
Oh, it is. And as I said before, it's one of the most demanding qualifying sessions. It is a lap that if you get pole position, you've got a really good chance of getting the race win. 39 laps will take us round the circuit here tonight. And it's going to be, the walls are never far away, so that's going to add a little bit more tension as well. Don't forget as well, there is a little bit of merch you can buy now. It is the TTML merch. I believe you can go down to the description below to click the link there. If not, it is stickemup.store/TTG Esports. So make sure you check out the merch there. There's some lovely blue and black gear, blue and white gear too, going through there. So if you want to get something, pick something up as well, that is courtesy of StickEmUp as well. So make sure you go and check them out. But yeah, let's talk more about the circuit in its entirety. It's the Circuit de Monaco, 39 laps, dynamic weather of course, but it is going to be under the floodlights. It's going to be at night time this race. 3.337 kilometres roughly translates to around 2 miles, and a race distance of 130 kilometres. Now, interesting fact about this one is that it's one of the only circuits on the race calendar that doesn't go to the full length of an actual Grand Prix. Now, when we normally do a Grand Prix, it's 300 kilometres, then it's halved down to 150. You'll notice, though, that the race distance of this is just over 130 kilometres, giving it an actual race distance of 260 kilometres. The fewer 40 kilometres basically means that it keeps it under the 2 hours of what it's supposed to be in a Formula 1 race. If it went to the full, 300 kilometres, well, you'd be adding another 10 to 15 laps onto it. So you could, in theory, be doing 90 odd laps of Monaco, and to be honest with you, I think 78 is just about enough. But we've been here since 1955. It's never been off the actual Formula 1 calendar until this season for obvious reasons, but it's been a staple ever since. First started by Anthony Nogues and a couple of his mates at the Monaco Automobile Association, pretty much, since 1929. So it is a track that takes you around Monaco entirely, and, well, it takes you around the whole country, the whole province, if you like, and it is one of the most demanding circuits on the calendar. The walls are never more than a couple of inches away, and the walls are so unforgiving. You make one slight tap with them, and that could be your front wing damage for the entire stint. James, how on earth do you prepare yourself for one of the most demanding street circuits that we have to face this season?
Well, I would use the 3 Ps normally, and that's practice, practice, practice. But I don't really think you can practice for Monaco, because it's always going to be something different every single lap that these drivers do. I would not be surprised, to be honest, if these guys really attribute themselves well to the track. We've only got a limited grid, I would say, here tonight, so that is a positive in its own right. There's not going to be much traffic within qualifying. So it bears into mind how committed these drivers are for even running here in the first place. I think it's fantastic. And if we can as well, with the drivers' standings, just to take a look at them. Medium Pilot on 59 points, Josh on 55. Very close up top, 4 points separating.
Yeah, absolutely. And this alternate point system really has changed up everything. I mean, it does reward consistency, but if you retire from a race, you know about it for sure. And as you say, 4 points separating the two leaders there. Kalsper and Dobby not too far behind. Pepetum there had a good strong start to the season, but it's a little bit faded away just slightly. Hopefully, if he's here tonight, he is here tonight. I've just seen that he can bounce back there. Looking at the bottom half of the table, you can see their Navy in 11th place, but still 4 drivers yet to score points. Darkbolt, Jack, Coutinho and Matty all at the bottom there. We look then at the constructors table, and well, Mercedes leading the way. Where have we seen that before? They are at the top of the table on 84 points, and then bringing up second and third, Williams and Ferrari. What year is it? 59 and 58 points respectively, with Haas rounding up the top 4 on 49. Racing Point, though, the only constructors not to have scored points so far this season. They'll be hoping with a tough race here tonight at Monaco that they can come out on top with at least a few points. If you are new to TT Masters League, then don't worry, we're not going to leave you in the dark about this one. There is an alternate point scoring system. 30 points for the winner, 25 points for second place, and so on and so forth. 20th gets 0 points whatsoever. Pole position gets you 2 lovely points, with fastest lap in the race getting you that lone point. So we're counting down now into the start of qualifying. There's only 11 drivers. Well, that's not going to take away anything from the amount of drama we're going to be seeing here tonight. It is coming up, the Monaco Grand Prix. It's one that drivers alike have not been looking forward to whatsoever. But we've got a race here, and we will be racing here very, very shortly. We've got qualifying to deal with first of all. So without further ado, let's get into the Monaco Grand Prix. Good evening everybody, and welcome to the streets of Monte Carlo, where you can gamble the night away with strategy, with qualifying, with anything you like, as long as you keep it away from those barriers on the outside of the circuit. Welcome along then to another round of TT Masters League here in the harbour of Monte Carlo, taking us around an entire country, an entire province worth of racing. The track is here since 1929 and has been a permanent staple on the calendar since 1955. The short tour around Monaco, 3.337 kilometres, takes us around 19 turns of one of the toughest street circuits on the calendar. Lots of undulation, especially in the first half of the track, but with overtaking opportunities very limited around the circuit, qualifying is going to be oh so crucial heading into this race. Race strategy as well is going to be paramount going into this one, so drivers are going to have to think on their feet if there's any safety cars, or, albeit, if they suffer any damage. And here we are then in qualifying under the floodlights here, where the cars are going to look absolutely dazzling here. And this will be a chance then for drivers to get lap times on the board. There's less pressure, obviously only 11 drivers here so far, so that's going to mean more points are on offer if you just get to the checkered flag, and that's the important thing when you come into TT Masters League. There's only one position that doesn't score any points, 20th place. Obviously you have to make it though to the checkered flag to score those points. An extra 2 points up for grabs for pole position makes that pole position even more enticing. James, we're here under the floodlights here, which is quite weird when we're at Monaco, but just makes the track look even more special, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks so nice, I've got to say, and of course this Grand Prix has been run in real life since 1929. I think if it was run this season, I think it would have been the 78th anniversary of the Monaco Grand Prix. I'm not looking at the boardings either to prove that point at all. It's interesting to see though, Venom is out on a set of mediums early. We've also got Josh and Pepetum, both Mercedes, out on a set of softs, and Dobby as well out on a set of softs. So bearing in mind, Venom is the first out on track. Mediums, he gets very close to the wall through the Nivelle chicane. He's on a set of mediums, everyone else on a set of softs. Judge him to be quicker later on in the session rather than his first lap.
Absolutely, and we take us now around this very narrow, very tight street circuit now as he makes his way in towards the final couple of corners. Get it wound up here for that last corner, get very tight to the inside wall, and now we make our way down one of the shortest DRS straights on the calendar in towards Sandoval, then braking hard, then use as much curve on the inside as the stewards will allow you as you now head up the hill through Beau Rivage, trying to take the straightest line possible as you head now into Massenet with lots of undulation changes here in towards Casino Square. Then it's down the hill, avoid the drain on the left hand side, then go back towards the left hand side to open up Mirabeau here. Bit of a lock up on the front right, very easy to do, and and then the slowest corner on the entire calendar, no matter which season you go into, in towards the hairpin there. Now into Mirabeau Bar as we head our way down towards Portier. Very tight right-hander, but get the traction down there as you make your way through the tunnel, all the way through that right-hander. Get as close to that right-hand side wall as you possibly can. The track does sort of camber towards the inside of the tunnel. In towards the Nouvelle Chicane, and you can be a bit aggressive with the curb this time around, as long as you don't go fully or past that sleeping policeman. Through then the left-hander of Tabac as we head in towards that swimming pool section. 2 very quick chicanes here. You can really attack those chicanes if you've got the confidence in the car. In towards Rascas, yet again, a little bit of a lock-up on the front right, and then up the hill through Antinoges as the track cambers away down towards the apex. A little bit of wheel spin from the Renault as he heads towards the start-finish line. That's a 1:10.2 from Venom then. Not a bad lap time to start off with, and to be honest with you, very clean lap all the way through.
Yeah, really clean lap, and he is ahead of Dobby, who's just came across the line as well by 7/10 of a second. So Venom already up there. We've got Josh on a lap coming through Anthony Noges now. He's through the final corner. Let's see what the championship rivals can do. Josh coming across the line now, but he goes top, 109.1, and he's more than a second ahead of Venom. Pepetum had invalidated his lap, so he will get another bite of the cherry. But Josh out on top. I've commentated on him in League of Europe on Saturday when he debuted. He finished third. He's in very good form, and he has set the best lap time so far, but there's a long way yet.
Now, we have seen from Josh in that YouTube chat that apparently it is going to be a wet race. Now, if there's any track on the calendar where drivers didn't want a wet race, it's probably going to be this one. It's treacherous in the dry, let alone what it's going to be like in the wet here. So let's have a look. We've got a bit of front wing debris just on the exit of a Nouvelle Chicane there as you head towards Tabac. As there you can see, Legend tapping the wall on the right-hand side. So easy to do when you lose that little bit of concentration. Watch out for the grip as well. The grip can drop away quite substantially going through here. But here is Legend then heading his way towards the start-finish line. Let's see what sort of lap time he's able to do then, heading towards the line. It is a 1:11.6, but it was, well, it's the slowest time so far. But I have to say, he did tap the wall on that lap. We've got a yellow flag at the Nouvelle Chicane, and that is Calsper having a moment there. It looks like he's damaged that left-hand side of his front wing, so he's obviously hit the wall somewhere.
Yeah, he obviously has. Pepetum, by the way, has gone quickest out of everyone. 108.7 from the German. Very good lap time there. So the two Mercedes, dominant out in front. It's like real life F1 all over again, to be honest. Yeah, Kalsper, I think he touched the inside at Tabac. He probably got close to the wall. He probably ended up in a bit of a half spin, then tried to recover the car. And I think he lost both of his end plates, so might have indicated that he actually tried to get control of the car, but then hit the wall again. Unfortunate for him, but hopefully he'll produce on a good performance. There's also Nathan and Recon on a lap currently as well. Nathan just under the tunnel section, Recon ahead of him actually out on track. Recon's looking good through the middle sector here. Let's see what he's going to be. 51.3, it's indicative of a personal best as he now comes through the swimming pool section, now through towards Rascas and Antinoges. It is still Pepetum out on top, Josh second, Carlsbury in third. But I think Recon's going to jump Pepetum here, to be honest. Let's have looked at a very clean lap from Recon. Coming across the line now, not too far off, he goes second and he's ahead of Josh.
Here comes Nathan towards the line then. Let's see what he can do towards the line. 1:10.4, which puts him onto the third row of the grid in 6th place.
Yeah, not bad lap there from Nathan. He is slower than Venom, who is on a set of mediums, and Venom actually has just came out the pit lane as well. But Nathan's setting a good lap time there. Quite a difference though in the pace. We should be seeing quite a consistent grid formation so far, and in qualifying we should be seeing very consistent times, but we're not. We're seeing quite a spaced out field, to be honest, which I think bears into mind the track in question, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's such a difficult track that it's going to be a bit of a race of attrition for some of these drivers. Just getting to the end of this race will be so important for all of them here tonight. Again, 11th place scores points. That's the most important thing. As long as these drivers keep it out of the wall, keep a front wing on their car, keep all 4 tyres on their car, they've got a good chance of scoring some really good points. Oh, as Yaram there taps the wall on the right-hand side on the exit of Tabac. That's a bit of front wing gone, but he's going to carry on with the lap as he makes his way now in towards Rascas there. A little bit of understeer heading through, and now heading in towards Anthony Nogues. He'll be frustrated with that lap as it's a little bit scruffy in the third sector, but he comes towards the line. Still a 1:10.4 on the medium tyres as there goes the other part of his front wing on the entrance in towards Sandoval, and that is how easy it is to really get rid of your front wing around this track.
Yeah, Venom is retired actually in the pit lane as well. I think that's in the pit lane from what I can see. It is. Good. I was looking to myself there. It might be on the other side of the track, but
Actually,
it's not.
no.
Yoram, yeah.
It was. You were right. That was on the exit of the second swimming pool chicane. So he did have a moment there because I just saw it go back to the pit lane on the map. So you were right, James. That's exactly what happened.
I was looking in that my glass is actually working there for me, to be honest there. But yeah, Yoram actually, just with that lap, middle sector and final sector were very scrappy indeed. He would have been on ahead of Venom and possibly breaking into the 109s if he didn't get that if he got that scrappiness out of the way. It could have been a 109 and a set of medium, but he would have been quicker than Venom. So he has got pace. If he goes on for a set of softs, I can honestly see him being up there along with Josh. So Yoram, I think, has got plenty more to give in this session.
Dobby improving by 0.7 of a second. That puts him up to a 110.1 there as he now makes his way uphill through Beau Rivage. We've got Carlsbury, who's there in 4th place. Slipped under my radar, that's for sure, as he makes his way through. Josh then, 3rd place for him at the moment here in Monaco as he makes his way through Portier and now towards the tunnel. And just have a listen to that. Fantastic through the tunnel there as he now makes his way down towards the Nouvelle Chicane. Very harsh braking zone here. We've seen in the past with drivers...
Sorry to cut in there, but Dark Bull, I was just watching him on a lap. He just invalidated coming through the swimming pool section and had a half spin, and pretty much similar to Venom, I think. He just spun the car and he's ran the wrong way out the track. Third time lucky there.
Bit of an Austin Powers moment for him there as he just desperately tries to get that car around and there's just about enough space, but that's so frustrating. Another reverse gear there and finally away he goes. But yeah, he's just got to be careful about doing that. Papetum sets the fast lap of the session, 108.7. Now here's an interesting thing for Papetum there as he looks a little bit out of sync on my screen anyway as he set that lap, but he's still heading towards the start-finish line for me. Anyway, the point is that he set the fastest lap there, 108.5. So here's the interesting thing. How long does that rain stay for? When does it appear in the race? Will drivers be looking to go for a wet setup rather than a dry one? Interesting question to raise here.
Yeah, that's why we might be seeing quite a sparseness in the times, to be honest, because obviously Professor out in front with the 108.5, Recon second with the 109 flat. You would imagine that those guys towards the top end of the field are going dry setup, but it bears into question, is the likes of Darkbolt, Legend and Nathan down towards the bottom end of the field, are they running wet setups in qualifying to prepare for the race? To be honest, if it's going to be coming dry towards the end of the race, stick a dry setup on it. It's going to be so much better than a wet setup around here. I know that from experience, to be honest, and yeah, it is the best thing possible to put a dry setup on. Maybe these guys are trying to sacrifice themselves. Carter, by the way, did improve 0.6 of a second. I'm on board with Calsper as well, coming through this middle sector. He's not looking too bad, actually, on this lap. 51.5, so he's slower than Recon and slower than Josh through the middle sector, but really attacking, coming through the final couple of corners. Be very interesting to see what lap time he does. He just locks up into Rascas down through the final corner. Calsper, I think, is going to go third possibly with this lap across the line. He does, but he breaks it by 0.03 of a second. Recon as well improved to just under 0.02 of a second off Papetum.
Yeah, we were on board with that lap there as Recon made his way through. Got half a second improvement out of that lap time and now puts himself within 0.02 of Recon there, his teammate. Meanwhile, Nathan invalidated his lap time. He'll be coming back to the pit lane there before all is said and done, but there's still plenty of time in this session for him to basically have another go. With just over 6.5 minutes to go, Papetum leads the way. Recon in second, Calsper third, Josh in fourth place there. There's a little bit of a Constantina in this pit lane here. Carlsbury in fifth, Dobby sixth, Venom, who has retired from the session, is in seventh place. Yaram in eighth, the only driver to set a lap time on the medium tyres. Nathan in ninth, Darkbolt in 10th, and Legend, who we're riding on board with now, making his way in towards Casino Square, currently on a lap, but again taps the wall on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I thought he got away with that, to be honest. He does. He gets away with that left side end plate damage, but Legend now coming through down towards Portier, which is turn number 8 out on track. Very tight, very twisting section around here through the middle sector. Of course, famously where Button and Verline came together in the 2017 Monaco Grand Prix. Remember that. It was horrible to watch, but Legend now coming down towards the Belgian. Not looking too bad on this lap. He looks cleaner and he looks quicker, but he needs to put in a very consistent lap here.
Yeah, absolutely. But Legend here, what will he do in the Alfa Romeo as he makes his way now in towards that swimming pool section? And again, slowing that car down. There doesn't seem to be a great deal of confidence in that car at the moment as he makes his way through Raskas. And yeah, he has backed out of it, but again, taps the wall on entry as he makes his way in towards the pit lane. I'm just having a frustrating time with my Wi-Fi on my phone saying the incorrect password, but I'm definitely putting in the correct password. It's just really, really infuriating, to be honest with you. But anyway, I'll try and get that in and try and get some chat going as well. That's what I'm basically using it for, as Dartbolt again has a moment in the exit of that swimming pool section. Yeah,
we're on board with that. Very similar to his last incident, and Dartbolt does really not like that swimming pool section at all. Obviously went around, he's still in 10th, 110.6. He's got a lot of pace, he just needs to find the consistency. If he really shoes it up through that swimming pool section, I could see him honestly being on level terms with the likes of Dobby, maybe even Venom down towards the top end of the field. Josh, by the way, Cosby, by the way, has gone third. Actually, I've just noticed that. And look at the separation between third, fourth and fifth. 600ths of a second.
Yeah, that is how insanely close it's going to be in this race. We don't even know what setup the driver's using. We know there's rain at some point in the race here tonight. But in any case, that doesn't mean they're going to be using wet setups. They could be using dry setups because they're trying to guess. They're trying to see how much they can get away with here tonight. But in any case, Nathan now, I believe this is going to be a flying lap as we ride on board with the Red Bull here. James, with Nathan here, 110.4, which wouldn't be a bad lap anywhere else, but he's got to find some time here.
Yeah, really got to find some time, but he's coming through Casino there, and he's looking very quick through that first sector. 700th of a second improvement, just tips the wall on the inside, can throw you off camber on the corner, needs to get a very much controlled line coming through the Grand Hotel hairpin as he nearly just overdoes it through the camber of the corner again, and he backs out the lap, so Nathan really not happy with that. He could still improve, but yeah, I think this is a back out and probably back into the pits with 3 minutes to go.
Yep, so there's still a little bit of time here. Obviously, the short lap here, you know, you're seeing the 108s here in qualifying. Obviously, the out lap will be a little bit slower than that. However, you've still got plenty of time heading back towards the pit lane.
Yeah, Yoram's on a very good lap through the middle sector. Really flew through the tunnel section. Needed sub 40 seconds through the tunnel section. 51.5 through the middle. This is looking like a very consistent lap from Yoram. I think he'll go fifth, really attacking the swimming pool section. Goodness me, that's the quickest we've seen all night through there. The hat is absolutely on fire as Nathan just pulls off to the track there on the left-hand side. I think he's missed the pit lane. Yoram now going to be coming across the line. What's his lap time? He goes sixth, and he's only 2 tenths off Carlsbury for third position. Very good lap. Looks very clean as well. I don't think he can find much improvement on that lap, to be honest.
Yeah, remember he set his previous best lap time on the medium tyres. That's why it came up as a second quicker on the graphic you saw there. So it's a good lap time there from Yoram. It puts him ahead of his teammate as well. So that's always who you're going to be compared to first, is your teammate. So Yoram will be happy with that one.
Halsper responding, 2 tenths up. Oh, and he just clips the corner on the inside of the apex. Just coming through Vasquez there. He was 2.5 tenths up. He looked very good, but Halsper sadly not taking any further part. And I do believe we've got Killer Blue just joining in the session as well.
Yes,
seeing that on the bottom.
Yes, so he should be taking that 12th place spot on the grid. 2 minutes still to run in this session as Perpetum here really gets through that swimming pool section. He means business tonight, doesn't he? In towards Raskas, and now coming around the final corner at Anthony Noakes, very close to that right-hand side to perfection. Millimetrically perfect. Perpetum now across the line, a 108.1 from the German, puts him even further ahead in full pole position there.
Yeah, I think if the master of qualifying, Recon, can't respond to that, then there's something wrong, I think, to be honest. Perpetum with a very consistent and clean lap, 108.1. Recon is just starting off on his lap. I'll watch it to see how he gets on. Killer Blue, by the way, has joined the session, because that's what you can do now in F1 2020. You can join the session while it's in progress.
You can indeed, however, I don't think he's got enough time to leave the pit lane and get himself out there. Well, he has actually just come out of the pit lane. He's only just come out of the pit lane here, so he's looking at this very late. But also, he's got Recon right behind him. Oh, sorry, that's Kalsper right behind him. So he's going to have to be very careful about how he goes about that one. So there's going to be a little bit of traffic on this final section here. So, well, I mean, if you needed any more inclination that this is going to be a tough qualifying session, how about Kalsper? He's going to be stuck behind Killer Blue on his outlap. He's going to find it tough to make the line before the checkered flag even.
Yeah, it's going to be a case of about 2 or 3 seconds either way, to be honest. I think Killer Blue is going to be fine. 35 seconds from the Nivelle chicane, as we see somebody cutting across the pit at the Nivelle chicane there, which I think was Calsper trying to get the lap in. It's going to be very, very tricky though. He is in the Racing Point. Racing Point might pick up points here tonight if he finishes.
Absolutely. Well, here comes Recon. He has invalidated his lap time, so he'll look to try and go again. You can go again here with it being such a short circuit. You can actually fuel yourself up for more than you need to. So Recon will try it one more time, and if it is a wet start, he won't have to see these tyres ever again. Carlsbury out there. Calsper making his way in towards turn 1. He's just made it. Killer Blue, meanwhile, makes his way up the road, so he's on a flying lap as well. We've got Legend here is making his way through that final section, and now towards Anthony Nogues here, trying to get his car turned in, and now towards that start-finish line. Can Legend get himself higher than 11th? He can for now. 8th place then from Legend puts him into P8. We now see there's a Haas coming towards the line. That's going to be Dobby. Let's see what the Haas driver can do. Up to 6th place, 109.2 from the Haas driver there. We've got Perpetum, who might be coming into the pit lane, and he is. There's the Red Bull of Nathan then, as he taps the wall on the exit there of that swimming pool section. He's got front wing damage, big lockup going into Raskas there. He's still going to try and finish the lap as he heads towards the line. DRS open is the shortest DRS zone on the calendar here. He does improve actually to 8th place on the grid with Calsper now on a flying lap. He makes his way now round the final couple of corners. You've got Blue, who's also on a lap, making his way towards that start finish line. Can Blue get himself up the order here? He can. Up to 10th place he goes. How about Calsper towards the line? He qualifies in P3, and that is qualifying over and done with Perpetum with an unbeatable 108.1, millimetrically perfect from the German, and he takes pole at the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah, really impressive lap from Perpetum. It was going to be hard to beat anyway. As Recon, I was watching coming through the final sector, he nearly lost it coming through the swimming pool section. I don't know how he didn't, but he set second. Calsper in third as well. Killer Blue, by the way, with his one and only lap, a 110 flat. Inevitably, he could have improved that a hell of a lot if he was here for the full 18 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, but it gets him off the bottom of the table, which is quite encouraging when you're at Monaco. However, the only problem is qualifying in the midfield never's quite the way you want it to be. You want to be right at the front or right at the back, because in the middle it encourages that hectic action there at the start of the race. In the meantime, though, qualifying is over, and Perpetum has taken pole position by just over 0.3 of a second. Recon in second place with Calsper in third, Carlsbury fourth with Josh in fifth, Dobby in sixth, Yaram seventh with Nathan in eighth, Legend ninth, and Killer Blue rounds out the top 10. Venom in 11th, and Darkbolt rounds out the top 12. Remember as well, Perpetum gets 2 points added to his championship standings for that outstanding qualifying lap.
Yeah, of course, and I think it will really help him as well in that championship. He has been a little bit inconsistent with his races, so bear that in mind if you are a fan of him. But I think Perpetum, with that qualifying lap, outgunning the king of qualifying Recon, he normally leaves it quite late. Going to be a very intriguing race, I think, this.
Oh, absolutely. And if you want to check out all the social medias, you can in the description down below. Obviously, League Racing TV just passed 550 subscribers. We're on the road to 1,000.
Wow.
Help us get there. So look forward to seeing you there. And it is, I can confirm, raining at the start of the race. Looks like intermediate conditions heading to this one, but obviously more about the track, of course. The 19 corners takes us around this very short blast around an entire, I should say, province. It's not quite a country, but it's not quite a province, so we're not quite sure what to call it. It's Monaco. It's Monte Carlo. That's what we'll call it. And of course, 39 laps around here, 3.3 kilometres, race distance of just over 130 kilometres here. Should give us some interesting action. And if you thought it was going to be a good race and a tough race in the dry, wait till you see what happens when it starts raining.
Yeah, it's going to be like driving on ice, I think, for these drivers, especially so because obviously these glinting lights as well, with it being a nighttime race, even Monaco tonight, it is going to draw, I think, the worst out of the drivers rather than the best out of them, because they're going to be focusing on so many things that the lighting actually might just play a little bit of a factor in any of the mistakes that these guys cause. It's going to be really intriguing. There's a whole host of combinations and a whole host of factors that I think could really throw up a surprise result tonight. And I'm not going to make my prediction. It looks though we're going into some wets.
Yep, absolutely. So it's been declared a wet start here because we're on to the intermediate tyres. So that means that if it does dry up in this race at any point, the drivers are not forced to use 2 sets of dry tyres. They only have to use the one from now on. So if they want to go mediums at the end of a race, as long as it's dry, they can do softs, hard, whatever they want. But the important thing is because it's been declared wet, the drivers have to start on a set of wet tyres. They'll be starting this race on the intermediate. So this is where the interesting thing happens. Which cars were set up for the wet and which cars were set up for the dry?
Yeah, it's going to be really intriguing to find out. And you can see, actually, just looking at the wide-out shot, there is a dry line, actually, already on the track there for the drivers to maintain that grip. So it's going to be really intriguing, I think, to see who finds the best grip out on track. Obviously, it's raining. The track will get wetter as we progress through. It's going to be really intriguing. And my final word before I hand over to you for the start, I'm going to make a top 3 prediction.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. Hold your breath.
All right.
Recon for the win, Perpetum second, and Josh for third.
Well, there you go, you heard it here first. Meanwhile, Yarum, last race around, received a 10-second time penalty after the race last week. The stewards deemed that he caused an avoidable collision, which demoted him from P11 to P14. Meanwhile, with Josh here, well, Josh is a much more favourable stat here. He's finished on the podium in all races so far this season, so hopefully that graphic isn't a bad omen of things to come. He starts in 5th place here tonight, but it is Monaco, of course. Anything can happen in these next 39 laps, and I hope you're going to join us. I hope you're with us for the next 39 laps. It's going to be a hectic race from start to finish. Imagine rush hour traffic at Monaco. Well, this is much worse than that. The drivers have to stay switched on as long as they possibly can, but we are moments away from the 4th round of TT Masters League here in Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix. All we do now is wait for Venom to take his place on the starting grid. They're in 11th place on the 6th row of this grid. But here we are then for the Monaco Grand Prix as we await the lights to signal the start of this race. It is 5 red lights. We're underway in Monte Carlo. It's good start there from Recon, a great start as well from Perpetum as we make our way now in towards Sandoval for the first time. No heroics into here, please, as we head our way through. They're filing their way through. All 12 of them make it through the starting procedure, and it is Perpetum who still leads the way ahead of, I believe that is Recon and Kalsper just behind them, as the timing screen always takes a lap or two to get on board with the rest of the race. Meanwhile, then you can see then Yara making positions left, right and centre there as we make our way now down in towards Mirabeau before this hectic, jam-packed session here in towards the hairpin. It is pretty much single file in here as you just try and wait desperately to get that little bit of acceleration from the hairpin. It's a nightmare if you're in the mid-pack and at the end of the pack as well, because it feels like you're there for so long, forever even. Perpetum then, the standings have updated, still leading the way then. Recon second, Kalsper in third, with Carlsbury in fourth, Josh in fifth, with Yarum in sixth, Nathan in 7th place, Blue is in 8th place, up from 10th place on the grid. Legend in 9th with Dartbolt making a good start here in 10th. Venom 11th, and Dobby is down to 12th place at the moment. Not a great start from the Haas driver, but you can see here the cars tiptoeing their way through the swimming pool section. On they go towards Raskas, with Recon not letting Perpetum go whatsoever this early on in the race. He's right behind him, right on his gearbox, as they now make their way through Anthony Nogues and onwards towards the start-finish line to finish the first lap here of the Monaco Grand Prix, with the Germans still leading the way ahead of Recon and Kalsper, with Perpetum there at 128.5. A very clean start here at Monaco.
Yeah, really clean start, given the conditions as well. I think Carlsbury might have picked up right side end plate damage, hitting the wall coming out of the swimming pool section. I'm not sure if there is slight damage on that car, because Josh is right on the back of him, and Carlsbury really struggling for pace here, and the Finn is getting hounded at every opportunity by Josh. Josh trying to find a way through. Carlsbury just locks up, and I can confirm there is right side end plate damage, slight right side end plate damage on that car. Nathan's gone through and Yoram.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's so difficult to overtake here. You've got to rely on your strategy more than anything else to try and get past the car in front. The best overtaking opportunity, I should say, is in the pit lane. That's pretty much it. Anywhere else on the track, you're going to find it a little bit risky. What's risky as well is through the tunnel here, it's completely bone dry. Of course it is. As the race progresses, there can be a little bit of spray brought in, a little bit of wet line developing through there through the race, but that's only because the intermediate tyres dragged them through. Venom picking up the first time penalty of the race, and surely not the last.
Yeah, surely not the last. I definitely don't think it will be the last. The Calgary again, just nearly hitting the wall. Josh taps the right-hand side of the wall.
Oh, that's Venom into the wall. Venom into the wall, and halfway through that swimming pool section just dropped the back end completely, and it is a safety car there. He'll be in this race, so I think he'll be counting his lucky stars that he is still amongst the pack here. Meanwhile, Papetum still leads the way under this safety car with Recon in second and Kausper in third.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, with the safety car period now out, Carlsberg, Legend and Venom will make their way back to the safety car queue, but Papetum has really controlled the race from this point onwards so far. Recon second, Kausper in third, Josh in fourth as well, but Carlsberg hitting that wall on the right-hand side really is going to be possibly his downfall. He's going to make up a lot of ground quite quickly, and you know how difficult overtaking is around here. And you know what? I think, to be honest, I said it before we came live as well, driver that's in pole position I think might win the race, Papetum. But I said Recon for my top one. Yeah, you
sure? You want to stick by it?
No, I'll stick by it. Recon first.
All right, on your head be it anyway. So it is Papetum who leads the way, and at this moment in time you can see Mercedes still top of that constructor standings. They'll still be extending their lead if they finish as it is right now. Yaram going on to set up wet tyres. Does he know something we don't?
Interesting. It does look like the rain is still the same at the same level to last time, but the biggest way to indicate, obviously, is if the track is now getting wetter out on track. It looks like it is, but the biggest indicator will be how much time he is losing, and he's losing more time on a set of wets than he is on a set of inters, and this is under the safety car. So goodness knows what he's going to be like when he's at full health. Yeah,
absolutely, but maybe he's just trying to stick out this really awkward stage of the race in order to make sure that his tyres warm up and make sure that there's enough water out on track. But I don't think it's raining sufficiently for wet weather tyres. In fact, the greatest tell you can see if you need wet tyres is standing water, and I haven't really seen any patches of standing water out on track.
No, there is no standing water out on track at all. So these guys are going to have to troop around. Obviously, these guys, I think, on the set of inters are going to be fine. Yaram, maybe not so much. Safety car, though, in this lap.
Yep, safety car is in, so now Papetum takes over, if you like, as the lead safety car. Well, he's in a Mercedes, the safety car is a Mercedes, so not much difference there, but he will be controlling the field as they head towards the timing line, where you cannot overtake until you're past the start-finish line. As you can see, Papetum just trying to get some heat into the tyres, trying to bunch it up, and Recon gets a penalty there for a collision with Kausper, so the teammates have made contact. Meanwhile, Papetum floors it now out of Anthony Nogues and on towards the start-finish straight, but he's having trouble getting the traction down here. Here's Recon, who'll try and move round the outside. We're back under green flag racing, but the nature of the first corner means that Recon can't quite take advantage of that one. Kausper has had a horrible start at the moment. He's fallen all the way back. Meanwhile, Nathan and Josh are going side by side all the way up the hill, and Nathan has held on to that position ahead of Josh. Josh scraping the barriers along the right-hand side. Now, does he have damage to that car? If he doesn't, he's very lucky.
No, he does not have damage at all. I think he's just struggling possibly for the traction out on track. He got overtaken to Nathan up the hill through Beau Rivage, and yeah, that's pretty much simply done. Nathan through, he's up to fourth, Josh down to fifth. Really struggling at the start, and Kausper, it looked like he picked up a little bit of damage, but he hasn't. He's now getting onto the back of Recon again.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a messy start there from Kausper. It just looked like he didn't have any grip whatsoever at the start of that stint. But meanwhile, Papetum still leads ahead of Recon, and Kausper is in third place.
Recon really close to the wall coming out of the Novell chicane. I don't know how he didn't pick up damage there. And
there's a yellow flag.
Has spun.
Yeah, it is Legend who has spun, but he's got back underway. And no front wing damage, actually, so he's just about got away with that. Meanwhile, Venom actually does make... Oh, Venom's off again! And this time he is out of this race. And another safety car. And unfortunately for him, he wasn't quite as lucky as last time round. Venom becomes our first retirement of this race.
First retirement, I'm not going to say of many, but it is really unfortunate. Venom obviously only on to lap 6. Yaron looks like he's getting into the bit to kill a fresh set of intermediates, I think.
I think so, yeah. So it's a little bit too early for those wet weather tyres. Maybe, unfortunately, the first retirement of this race and brings out it's the second safety car of the race, and it's the second safety car triggered by something Venom's done.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think it's the second safety car obviously coming out that he has caused. But it's going to be really intriguing, I think, now for this race. The rain looks like it's is easing off a little bit, I think.
Don't say it, James. You've jinxed it now.
It is.
You've jinxed it.
It is getting easier.
Well, in any case, it is still raining for the time being as Perpetum tiptoes his way around. Of course, the safety car is having to tiptoe around as well with these performance tyres that it does have on the Mercedes, on that SLS, if you like, the safety car, but obviously not dispersing as much water, nowhere near as much water as these intermediate tyres. Even the intermediate tyres can displace around 20 to 30 litres of water per second compared to their wet weather counterparts of 70 litres per second. So don't rule out these intermediate tyres as not being able to clear water off the track. And as you can see, in most parts of this circuit, you cannot see any standing water whatsoever. That's a sure tell sign that it is the right conditions for intermediate tyres.
Yeah, I think without the standing water, obviously there's not going to be any need for these guys to go on to instead of wet. We saw Yoram obviously go in and try and risk it. It's very intriguing though. Perpetum is staying about 10 cars length off the safety car. Is he trying to get into the head of Recon and Calsburn behind and just saying, I'm controlling this one, you better watch out? I think he is.
Well, maybe, because he saw last time around that Recon got a much better start and a much better traction off of Antoniano's than Perpetum did. So maybe this time around, Perpetum's thinking, actually, I'm not going to give you a chance to try and keep some heat into your tyres. I'm going to make sure it's as difficult as possible, which, of course, you're allowed to do, as long as you keep within 10 car lengths of the car you're following. For Perpetum, that means he has to stay within 10 lengths of the safety car. It looks a little bit far back for my liking, but obviously coming in towards the chicane, the efficient brakes, the efficient aero on these F1 cars means that you can close up to that safety car a lot easier.
Yeah, I think we might see the safety car coming in this lap with Yoram now joining onto the back. However, I don't think we are, unless it has popped up that it is coming in. I haven't seen anything.
Now. No, it would pop up now if the safety car was coming in, but no, we're still going to be under safety car for another lap, it looks like. But let's have a look. Yeah, so the safety car stays out. It's just that Perpetum is taking, well, right on the edge of this 10-length rule here as he makes his way through onto that start from track.
And now the safety car was showing green coming across the line.
Yeah, I think it did that anyway. I think it's just a little bit of a visual glitch there. But anyway, it's it's now gone back to yellow. So a little bit of a weird one there, but he's trying to let the race leader through to try and lap everybody. That's what's happening.
Yeah,
anyway.
Honestly thought we were going to have a repeat of Belgium last season there. Don't get on to me about that.
No. We don't need any flashbacks there. We don't need anything of the sort there. But anyway, I think, if anything, the safety car will come in this lap. We've got 11 drivers left in this race after Venom crashed out, causing this safety car a couple of laps ago, just pushing too hard through the swimming pool section and unfortunately ending his race. You can see there how much Perpetum's actually struggling with the low-level grip. Now, of course, when you get to Monaco, it's very easy to just put the wings up to their maximum to try and get as much downforce as possible. But the downforce doesn't work through the hairpin. You've got to really rely on the camber of your tyres to really pull yourself through that corner.
You've got to rely on driver skill, I think, as well, because too many times I've seen drivers clout the wall on the outside and pick up end plate damage, and it really speaks about the camber of the corner and the undulations that I've received here in Monaco. Safety car should be in this lap.
And there we are. There we go. So James has called it. We will be back under green flag racing this time around with 31 laps of racing still to go. Perpetum here is actually picked up a little bit more pace. Now he's backed off a little bit. So as he makes his way now in towards Raskas, now he's trying to get some heat into his tyres as he makes his way through. Now going towards Anthony Knows, it's up to him when he goes, but he's only got until that start-finish line. Looks like he's got much better traction out of Anthony Knows this time around. This looks a little bit more comfortable for him. We are back under green flag racing. Perpetum in towards turn 1 he goes, and still leading this race ahead of Recon and Calsper. Nathan in 4th with Blue, up to 5th place. What a great race he's had so far. Darkbolt in 6th place at the moment, with Carlsbury in 7th, Dobby 8th, Legend 9th, Josh down in 10th place at the moment, with Yaram in 11th.
Yeah, I think one thing to bear in mind with Killer Blue obviously making up 6 positions from the start, or 5 positions from the start, as I'd say, is that the likes of Dobby, Josh, and Yaram have already been into the pit lane. That Legend, sorry, and Carlsbury, the other one, they've all been into pit stops. These guys, the top 6, haven't. So that's something to bear in mind also.
Absolutely, and of course it is wet weather, so there is no necessity to pit in the race. However, I can't see many drivers pitting in or avoiding the pits for the entire race. That's just not possible on these intermediate tyres. They can withstand some pressure.
Josh down the inside of the Vel chicane past Legend. Beautiful move that is. Down the inside, the Mercedes through on the Alfa Romeo. Josh, easy as light, through up to the 9th. Brilliant move.
So Josh now up to 9th place. Remember, he's finished on the podium every single race this season so far. But when we come to Monaco, that can all be thrown to the sidelines. Perpetum still leads then as he heads towards the start-finish line.
Killer Blue into the pit lane, nearly spun it actually coming into the pit lane. Carlsbury is right on the back of Dark Balls as well. This is for pit position, now out on track. So Carlsbury now beginning to use those tyres to great effect. Dark Ball clouts the wall, and this should be Carlsbury's move. He's going to go around the outside. No, I think he's sticking second to his guns. He's sticking to his guns, and he's not going to go for the move. Too wide through Casino Square. I've seen it done before, but not in these conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dartbolt has front wing damage on the right-hand side. And for Carlsbury, though, this is going to lose him more time. What we say is normally, if the car in front has got front wing damage, just be patient. You'll eventually find your way past. But that's no guarantee here at Monaco. Carlsbury, with a wounded Williams ahead of him, has got to find a way past.
Yeah, Carlsbury as well, taking very high revs through the corners. He's trying to maximise the effort of that car. He's actually losing some, and Darkbolt was much cleaner out of Portier, and now Carlsbury has just been left for dead down into the Neville chicane. 7/10 of a second, there's no way he's gaining that back in any stretch of imagination. He's got to be reliant, I think, on Darkbolt possibly coming into the pits at the end of this lap. That's what he's got to be reliant on. If Carlsbury can do that, as Darkbolt hits the wall on the right-hand side, Carlsbury should get 5th position sooner rather than later, and this is his opportunity now.
He could go for it.
No way.
Oh, there's contact between the two of them there, just squeezing in there. That was never going to happen. Side by side through there as they make their way through now the final corner of Anthony Knows. I don't think Carlsbury has got any damage to that car, but the way he's revving that car, it's almost like he's trying to burn off fuel out of the corners. The only problem is he's absolutely spinning his rear tyres up a tree.
Yeah, he's actually on the limit of fuel, actually, because the yellow light is on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. So that means Carlsbury is pretty much on the limit in terms of fuel. He shouldn't be burning away unnecessary fuel if he's got very light load on that car. He's probably in and around the 0.5 litre mark, I think, to be honest, for that light to show up.
Yeah, I think as well, in the rain, initially you use a little bit less fuel because you're spending less time on the throttle pedal. Nobody told Carlsbury that because he's trying to burn off that fuel to keep the car as light as possible. Remember, the lighter the car around Monaco, the more agile, the more nimble it is, and what you need is a car that is really nimble through these corners to get you through. So maybe it's a little bit of strategy going on in Carlsbury's cockpit there.
Yeah, 4-way battle, I think, for 5th beginning to develop as well. Darkbolt, it looks as if he's actually got away scot-free with damage. I think we said he had right side end plate damage, but it doesn't look to me as he has. I think he's just struggling with the tyres, to be honest. Carlsbury now on the back. Josh, I was saying he was catching, but he's lost his left side end plate.
Yeah, and he had a big moment coming out of the Nouvelle chicane as well, spinning up those rear tyres. So not only has he got damage, he spun up the rear tyres and is now fallen into the clutches of Legend here. And Josh actually peels off into the pit lane for a front wing replacement here. It's a very expensive night for all of these teams here in terms of front wing changes.
Darkbolt hits the wall on the inside, and Carlsbury's going to try and go for the move of Boulevard. No, he thinks second of it. Darkbolt, though, has lost left side end plate damage. Carlsbury still having a look down the inside through Massenet. Goodness me, he wants to try and get past. He's got to be patient rather than anything else. His time will come if he gets a good exit. His time will come down into the Nivelle chicane.
Well, I'm having to think maybe not, because the way Dark Bolt is defending here, he's making it life very difficult for Carsbury, as Carsbury runs deep into the hairpin there, just about avoiding the Williams ahead of him. But yeah, you can see a little bit of wheel spin from both of the cars there, as Dobby actually right behind them, taking his time, being very patient. And of course that is where Carsbury is losing out on the exit of right-hander of Portier. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's where he's losing the traction there, and you can see those high revs are costing him on the exit of these slow corners, and unfortunately for him, Monaco is chock full of slow corners.
Yeah, he's got to be taking low revs through the corners. He'll engage more power out of that car, more aero as well through the corners. He's just got to really maintain, also with his fuel being quite low as well, he's got to try and maintain that as well with the low revs, because he'll be using up less fuel. He is on the back of Darkbolt coming down towards turn 1. I think his best opportunity, honestly, could be up towards Massenet, turn 3. Yoram is into the bits. I think he might have picked up damage. Darkbolt now doesn't play the wall that time. Carsbury on the back of him. It's a tenth and a half of a second, which was a DRS zone because he could get past. He's going to go down the inside. It's a Massenet. Can he try and get the move done? No. 2 into 1. In wet conditions, do not go. Carsbury had his chance, but he failed.
I was hoping for a trackside camera there, but yeah, they did make contact there. Carsbury trying to go up the inside in towards Massenet, and yet no way through for him. They made contact wheel to wheel there, but Darkbolt able to hold on to 5th place. And for Carsbury here, that'll be really frustrating for him.
Yeah, the more frustration is going to set in, the more he'll want to try and get the overtake done in a bit of an aggressive manner. And again, he's just lost the time out of Portier. 7.5 attempts now coming through the tunnel. He's got to be reliant as well on Dobby in behind. Dobby is beginning to gain on these guys ahead. So Dobby might be the one to watch out of these 3 longer term in the race, even though he is not fitted just yet.
No, absolutely not. Darkbolt here just about holding on for the moment, then onto that 5th place with as much as, or as long as he can, I should say, with that front wing damage on the left-hand side. In towards Raskas we go, but Carsbury is not letting go anywhere here as we now make our way through that final corner, now on towards the start, finish straight through Anthony Nose, and again, spinning up those rear tyres there. Maybe it's a 2nd and 3rd gear, but we don't really know about the rest of them. That could be a little bit of lag involved as well. But again, lots of wheel spin there as the rear wheels really struggle for traction there, as Carsbury really asks so much of the engine there.
Yeah, honestly, if he keeps it up with these high revs, this engine might not last the end of the race. He has taken it so much through the corners. Every single corner, I think, you see him taking max RPM coming out of the corners. It's like 13,000 RPM these cars can get up to. And Carsbury's taking them out of every single corner. So goodness knows what he's going to be like towards the end of the race. They've got Legend catching as well then behind. He's just about to join onto the back of this little queue that's forming.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to have to be so careful going through. So, especially for Carsbury, in this part, especially through the tunnel, it's going to be even more difficult to really just focus and get that on there. Yellow flags there, and that is Nathan. Nathan is around there in that Nouvelle chicane, so he's obviously spun up the rear tyres. That's 2 positions lost for the Red Bull. We've now got yellow flags in sector 3, although I'm not sure what that's for. Yaram's got a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting, so that must have been the Ragunathon line going through turn 1
Yaram's been in. Yeah, Yaram's been into the pits, I think.
So Yaram has been in. Meanwhile then, we've got Carsbury making contact with the wall on the right-hand side. Now what's this going to do for Nathan as he loses the rear end as well and loses a chunk of front wing? That's so crucial. The exit speed coming out of Anthony Nose, he would have been caught out there, and then just too quick on the loud pedal, too heavy on the loud pedal, and those rear tyres are not having it, especially in these wet conditions here. And unfortunately now that's the Williams who's got front wing damage. That's now the Red Bull that's got front wing damage. I wonder if any of the cars behind have front wing damage too.
Yeah, Carsbury, I think, also has front wing damage, if I'm not mistaken. It's a slight winglet, I think, on the right side end plate, if I'm not mistaken. But form up an orderly line, because now Legend has joined on to the back of this. It's a 5-way battle for 4th. Killer Blue's 5.5 seconds off. Josh is catching hand over fist. Honestly, these guys are going to be hopping on a Northern Pacer train service to Manchester at this rate.
Well, let's hope they say Monte Carlo, because that's where the checker flag will be waved. Anyway, Nathan making his way now in towards the Nouvelle chicane, and yeah, with that front wing damage, he's going to be so frustrated with that one. And we've got yellow flags here. That's Yarum, who's getting out of the way of, I believe that's the race leaders there. So Papetin goes through Recon and Kalsper, and now he'll get back up to speed. Legend, meanwhile, is going to make life difficult for Dobby here as they head through that second half of the swimming pool section. Now in towards Raskas. Lap 16 of this race as Nathan comes into the pit lane there to change his front wing.
Yeah, Carlsbury really fighting the car just ahead of Nathan as he comes in to replace his front wing. Kalsper is staying quite consistent to Recon as well. It's 0.6 of a second. The gap has been circulating around the 1 second mark, but Kalsper now beginning to show a little bit of pace on his teammate, and it looks to me as if the pit window will begin to open in the next 3 or 4 laps or so. Honestly, this rain is not relenting up at all. I think we're going to have an inters race pretty much throughout this race. It'll be a test of who wants it most, but the top 3 are 20 seconds clear of Darkbolt, and this is all because Darkbolt has front wing damage and really has not been into the pit at all.
No, he hasn't, and he's just staying out there, trying to stay and extend this stint as long as he possibly can. And why not when you've got front wing damage? I mean, there's not a lot the car behind can do to try and overtake you. There's very limited options that the car behind has. So for Carlsbury here, it's just getting frustrating for him that he can't find that move past, and then he's spinning up the rear tyres on the exits of these corners, which makes it even tougher for him to close the gap. I'm not sure what the science is behind spinning up the rear tyres like that. He taps the wall on the exit of the swimming pool section, or to entrance of the swimming pool section, I should say. And again, Yarum's now retired from the session in the pit lane, so he's called it a day. And that's unfortunate because there's so many opportunities to get points here, to get good points as well, as that is Dartbolt now into the pit lane.
Yeah, I think he clipped the wall on the inside as well. I think he might have right side end plate damage if I'm not mistaken. I did see a little bit of a winglet coming out of that car, and yes, well, he's getting a front wing change, so I can only lead to believe he picked up right side end plate damage as well, unless it was Yarum.
Well, in this case, obviously he might have tapped the front the wall there with his front wing, but might have just about got away with it. What that means is now Carlsbury is released.
Oh, Darkbolt and Nathan's coming up side by side. Nathan just about gets around the outside of Darkbolt, so Nathan ahead of Darkbolt within the pit stops.
That will be important then for Nathan. He had to get ahead of the Williams there, so important for Nathan to get ahead of that Williams, which he has done, and now is in 8th place ahead of Dartbolt in 9th. Dobby and Carlsbury, well, how do they react to this? Carlsbury now is 22.7 behind 3rd place as Recon comes into the pits.
Yeah, not surprised. I think the pit window is only a couple of laps away. He's serving up a 5-second time penalty, I think, as well as he comes into the pit lane.
Yeah,
that was obviously for his collision with Kalsper.
Yeah, that will be it. So Legend now picks up a 3-second time penalty. So he's taken that early. He's taken the penalty early as well. So Kalsper, that means he's released a little bit going through. And now he is 3.6 seconds behind the leaders here, as now Recon emerges from the pit lane, heading in towards turn 1. Carlsbury, though, will be behind him, so Recon will rejoin comfortably ahead of the McLaren, and now he's going to make those tyres last to the end of this race.
Yeah, Recon as well is trying to do an undercut on Papetum, and I think the gap was only something like 2.5 seconds, maybe even about 3 seconds, when Recon came into the pit lane. So Papetum, I think, has got to react in either this lap or next lap around, because Papetum will not want to lose much time. The undercut around here from a driver coming into the pit lane on the lap previous to the driver in front coming into the pit lane on this lap, as Josh sets the new fastest lap of the race. Papetum will have to respond. The more time he spends out on track, Recon will have a better chance of being in the lead of this race, and Papetum stays out. So Recon, watch the gap, 25.4 seconds. That gap comes down, Papetum's in trouble.
Yeah, he absolutely is. He's got to stay on his toes here throughout the rest of this race. 21 laps to go here as Papetum starts lap 19 of this race. Kalsper second, Recon in third, and he is really pushing this Ferrari, is Recon. He's got to be careful though, obviously, with those walls never far away. He's just got to keep his cool for this stint now as he makes his way on towards the start finish straight.
Yeah, he's only gained a tenth of a second as Carlsbury and Legend are both into the pit lane as well. Carlsbury looks like he is going for front wing change as well. But the rain appears to me as if it's getting heavier out on track, if I'm not mistaken. I could be quite wrong though.
Well, lots of cars in the pit lane right now. A new set of intermediate tyres going on for Legend, Blue and Carlsbury. And Carlsbury's really lost out there. Legend will emerge ahead of Blue and Carlsbury as Nathan heads his way through to take some positions here. Dartbolt is going to be battling with the Alfa Romeo on the exit of Sandoval, and he gets the better run through, obviously on the outside, and makes his way now up to 6th place.
Yeah, the overrun around the outside is quite potent as well. So Dartbolt has ended up ahead of Legend. Killablue's only 2 seconds off this as well, so it's going to be really intriguing. The gap, by the way, between Recon and Perpetum, 24.8 seconds, and coming down as Perpetum responds and he's in.
Yeah, Kalsper stays out, by the way, so on go a fresh set of intermediate tyres for Perpetum, and now he will go to the end of the race. Where is Recon, who's just put the fastest sector time through Sector 2 there to try and chase down that Mercedes? It's a very slow pit lane here in Monaco, but if you can rejoin ahead, you've pretty much got that position.
Wow.
Where is Perpetum then? Rejoining now on pit lane exit in towards turn 1, and he is very much ahead there. Rejoins way ahead of Recon, who's just set the fastest third sector, but no fastest lap overall. So either he's made a colossal calamity of sector 1 there, or the timing screens are not right.
No, that is 6 seconds purely on my screen. I honestly thought it was going to be about 3 seconds or something when Perpetum came out in pit lane, but Perpetum looks like he's putting quicker laps than Recon, and I'm just going to go on to Race Director to compare this. Perpetum last time around set a 138.7, that was his out lap, and Recon set a 122.2, so it was a personal best lap time, but his out lap was 5 seconds slower than Perpetum. So that is why he's lost 3 seconds in the pit lane because of his 5-second time penalty.
Absolutely, so that will do it. So unfortunately for him then, he's all the way down now, 5.8 behind. Well, if he didn't have that penalty, what could have been? Kalsper now into the pits. He's only 14.2 ahead of Perpetum, so I can't see him holding on to that position. Meanwhile, Perpetum making his way now in towards Raskas to try and take the lead of this race.
Yeah, Kalsper's got the 5-second time penalty as well, so Recon and Kalsper are going to be in their own private battle. Perpetum's going to be dominant out in front. It's as simple as that, and I think Recon is going to get out ahead of Kalsper quite comfortably in the end. Yeah,
very comfortably there. It's always a risky one when you're on pit lane exit there. Right as you emerge from the pit lane, you do emerge on the racing line, so it's very tricky there.
Yeah, Kalsper just overrunning the pit lane exit actually a little bit. So I'm not sure if that might be investigated in. Killer Blue, by the way, is on the back of Legend, really hounding the back of the Alfa Romeo, and the Racing Point is looking so much quicker at this stage than the Alfa Romeo. It's just a case of if, not when, as Dobby rejoins just about behind these guys. It's going to be very close between Killer Blue and, oh my god, Killer Blue and Dobby, but Killer Blue just about, I thought Dobby and overran it at the pit lane.
Carlsbury then spins up the rear tyres. That's been coming for a long time, the way he's driving that car, and he's hit the wall. He's now lost a chunk of front wing on the left-hand side. That's going to do him no favours whatsoever. He spins it up, and again towards the wall. That's it. I think he's had enough there, and he's out of the Monaco Grand Prix. I think that's in a safe enough place not to deploy the safety car. I think we'll get away with that one because he's really parked it all the way through there. Similar to where Rosberg got it wrong in 2016 in qualifying and had to park it up in that section, just easily covered by yellow flags there. I don't think we'll be seeing a safety car. So we're still under green flag racing here. Perpetum leads the way, Recon in second, Kalsper third, with Nathan in fourth place. Even after his front wing calamities, he's still rejoined ahead of Dartbolt, and that's the important thing here at Monaco. Even if you have some dramas with the front wing, some dramas with the wall, if you fall out with the wall at any point, there is still a great chance you can get a good result.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the 9 drivers that are still going around out on track as well, first and foremost, well done to everyone that is still going around out on track. It's very tricky to drive. But these guys, I think, there's a minimum now of 11 points available for Josh, who gets 9th position down there if he finishes the race. So these guys, I think, stay out there, get a good point haul, and really help out your constructors and your individual case for the championship.
Yeah, even if it doesn't go quite right, you just need to keep your head down and get to the checkered flag, and you've got yourself a really good haul of points here tonight. Remember, 30 points for the race winner in this race, 2 points for the pole lap, which goes to Perpetuum, and 1 point for the fastest lap. No matter where you finish, as long as you finish, you will get 1 point added to your standings, which I'm trying to see at the moment is Perpetuum there, 121.7, so he could be on for the Grand Slam here.
He could be, and he's 5 seconds quicker actually in terms of lap times compared to Josh and Recon. 22.1, 22.2 respectively for those guys, and Calspers just came in for the 22.2 as well. So these guys, I think the top 3 really just dominated the pairs. They haven't had any troubles. They've only been the only troubles that they've had is Recon and Calsper with the 5-second time penalty. Perpetuum has had the perfect laps to go. Utter my words now, anything can happen.
Well, anything can happen. I think lots of things have happened that maybe we didn't expect, maybe we didn't predict. But only 3 retirements so far. Joram retired in the pits, of course, deciding to not reach the end of the race, to not take the checkered flag. Killer Blue, by the way, only 1 lap in qualifying, and is now currently in 7th place, trying to chase down Legend for what will be P6.
Yeah, he's doing a phenomenal job, I think. Obviously, to come in late as he did, 2 minutes left to go in qualifying, literally jump into that Racing Point. Racing Point look on for their first points haul of the season here as well. But it's going to be really intriguing. It looks like we're getting a bit of a 3-way battle, maybe in the longer term, but 3-way battles possibly could be developing. Nathan and Dockbolt, Legend, Killer Blue and Dobby perhaps, as well as Josh. So maybe 2 battles beginning to develop in the bottom half of the race. But I think Perpetuum's just gone quicker there, 21.3.
Yeah, he has. He's absolutely loving this at the moment. He's enjoying himself out there, extending that lead even further now. The gap between himself and 2nd place is 8.3 seconds. That's how much he's enjoying himself out there right now. Absolutely loving life at the moment. Perpetuum leads the way on lap 24. It's Recon in 2nd with Calsper in 3rd. Nathan 4th. We're on board with Dartbolt as he tries to challenge that 4th place. Legend in 6th. Killer Blue in 7th. Dobby in 8th. And Josh rounds out 9th place. He's the last of the runners so far.
Yeah, Darkbolt, Killer Blue I should say, all over the back of Legend. And Darkbolt as well is closing in on Nathan slightly. Legend's just got to be careful, he doesn't want to overrun it through turn 1. But Killer Blue certainly is looking so much more quicker. Again, Monaco really favours the brave, and I think Killer Blue in this scenario has got to be brave. I think round the outside of Massenet sort of brave.
That is asking something round the outside of Massenet, because then it tightens into the left-hander, or the right-hander I should say, of Casino Square, so you've got to be very brave to pull off a move like that. Just a quick note on that one, Legend actually going through that left-hander of turn 3, losing that back end, and Killer Blue tapping his wheel on that left-hand side wall going through just before Casino Square. Very easy to do, and very easy to give yourself a puncture doing that. He's got to be careful that he doesn't push the limits too far there.
Yeah, these guys are getting held up massively as well, because have you seen the gap to Josh? 1.8 seconds. The last time I looked, it was 5.5 seconds. Josh is flying out on track, and we might be not showing it in terms of consistency with the lap times. He's absolutely flying, and the more that Killer Blue gets held up, the more chance he might have of overtaking these guys ahead, but it's a massive ask.
Yeah, a bit of oversteer as well for Killer Blue on the exit of Anthony Nose as we make our way now down towards Saint-Devote. 15 to go here at Monaco. And as you see there, Killer Blue getting very up and close and personal with the left-hand side wall on the exit of Saint-Devote. Meanwhile now, we head our way in towards that, well, long chicane section of Massenet and Casino Square. Down the hill we go, avoid the drain on the left-hand side, then take that racing line in towards Mirabeau, on towards now the Grand Hotel hairpin. Slowest point on any track here in Formula 1 as you now make your way tiptoeing out in towards the lower half of Mirabeau and now towards Portier. Once again, very slow speed corner. Got to watch out for the traction on the exit. Riding aboard now with Killer Blue as we come towards the only dry part of the track where you bring water into the tunnel and it's very difficult to get rid of Legend, having to defend from Killer Blue there.
Yeah, Killer Blue using up his overtake mode as well. He's saved 83% of ERS. out on track, so he was opting to use it underneath the tunnel section, which is why he might be trying to take the initiative, I think, and Killer Blue has just got to manage this to perfection. Legend eventually, I think, will crack, and Killer Blue should have P6 sooner rather than later, but I want to see it in a style done and an overtake done out on track. I don't want to see Legend lose it out on track. Josh, by the way, is on the back of Dobby as well, and he's getting quite close to Dobby down in towards Sandoval at turn 1. Not close enough, and doesn't really get the run, and spins up the rear tyres as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's looking really up for this. He's trying to get past Dobby, but of course the nature of Monaco means that you really have to be alongside, if that, to try and make a move still. You could still be side by side with the car, but it's just so narrow here. The cars are so wide that overtaking is just so challenging. Meanwhile, then Josh trying to full lock to the left there. You have to bring the tightest and biggest steering rack possible to Monaco just for that hairpin, as we now make our way through in towards the right hand and now in towards the tunnel as we head towards the Nouvelle Chicane. Killer Blue is on the back of Legend here. As you can see there, Legend sees that move coming to the left hand side and does well to just slightly move the car and say, you know what, don't take that line, I'm defending it.
Yeah, Josh nearly went into the back of Dobby as well, just in the background. They're right on board with Killer Blue. Very late on the brakes, and the Mercedes looks like he's absolutely flying out on track. Has Recon and Carlsberg now, I think they're going to battle, because Recon, has he made a mistake? It doesn't look like on the timings, but it looks like Carlsberg has now just suddenly came back to Recon. Very strange.
Well, we're looking on board with Josh, as this could be a move in towards Sandevot then. Up the inside, this could be the heroics we need, and that is a great move from Josh there. Up the inside, and he takes away 8th place. Got the absolute best traction out of Anthony Noakes possible. Great move into Sandevot, he's up to 8th place.
Yeah, we saw one great move from him earlier on. Carlsberg, by the way, through on Recon. Team orders have given way.
Yeah, Recon's got front wing damage. That's why Carlsberg was closing in. So he's let him go there to try and chase down Perpetuum. And Recon says, I don't want to hold you up anymore. You can see there now as they head in towards Raskas, that front left-hand damage. And he's actually coming into the pit. He's got so much of a gap over Nathan that he can afford this pit stop.
Darkbolt is going down the inside of Nathan. Speaking of which, he doesn't. Down the inside through the Nouvelle Chicane. He could go down the inside of Tabac through turn 12.
No, surely not.
Surely not. No. Definitely not.
That's definitely not an overtaking place, Tabac, as we now make our way in towards that swimming pool section. Darkbolt here. Well, he's got the front wing attached to his car. That's better than I will do, that's for sure. When I probably head here on Thursday night. But the less we talk about that, the better. As you can see there, Recon just about re-emerging. Then he's still got 3rd place, and that is so much the gap between the top 3 and then 4th and 5th place that Recon could damage his front wing, let his teammate through, still pit in to replace that front wing, and still rejoin with a very healthy gap.
Yeah, he's less than 9 seconds ahead of Nathan. It's going to be about 8 seconds as he comes up through Massenet. Doppel is really hounding the back of Nathan here as well. Doppel has suddenly came alive in these last couple of laps. We've got Killer Blue on the back of Legend, Josh on the back of Killer Blue as well. Josh is looking like he's just got into this race, to be honest. He's absolutely flying. And it's so difficult with the spray being kicked up to try and judge the braking zone of the car ahead. And Josh again just nearly ran into the back. And speaking of which, he just has run into the back of Killer Blue, but only a slight tap at the back end. Essentially a love tap there from Josh.
I love tap, but I don't think his front wing will appreciate that whatsoever. But that is the battle you can see there for 6th place. Legend, Killer Blue, Josh and Dobby all making their way now through that tunnel. I wonder if actually Killer Blue had a little bit of a moment going through the tunnel there, because he was very close to the tunnel on the right hand side, and in fact he's got front wing damage on the right hand side of his front wing. So that is the last possible thing he wanted. Josh, meanwhile, will see this as an opportunity, and surely he'll try and set up this move into Sandevot. That is, of course, if Killer Blue doesn't come into the pits.
Yeah, I think Killer Blue might have to sacrifice himself here and come into the pits. He's picked up the right side end plate damage as he stays out, actually. He's picked up the right side end plate damage. Josh nearly into the back of Killer Blue. It looks like he might have picked up the damage coming through the kink on the right hand side, so he's probably got it caught on like the essential ditch, as I like to call it, coming through the corner, and he just got caught in that, and obviously it spun the car to the right and he touched the wall. So that's probably what's happened there. Josh is trying to go round the outside at Massenet, down the inside at Massenet, tries to go through. He doesn't, but now on the run down to Mirabo, he will get the run, and I think this should be job done for the Mercedes. Is it? They're still side by side. Down in towards the Grand Hotel hairpin. Killer Blue gets the better run, but Josh around the outside. Killer Blue says, no, I'm not having any of that. Josh is through, and he's up to 7th.
Yeah, Killer Blue put in that position really where he doesn't want to cause another incident. He doesn't want to cause that incident in towards the hairpin. Wisely backs out of that one, and Josh now using that to his advantage. Now up to 7th place.
Yeah, Killer Blue as well has got to be careful because Dobby is 7/10 off. But down into the Nivelle chicane, very late on the brakes. I mean, it's just overcosting him coming out the corner. You see there, just a little bit of a lack of oversteer, and Dobby now really beginning to lose the car. Coming through into the back. Killer Blue, 3-second time penalty, really struggling with the front wing damage. Fastest laps available, he can go for it.
He could go for it with 10 laps to go, but it's going to be a very difficult lap time to beat. Let's see what happens. He comes into the pit, so he's obviously listening into the stream there, James. You've given him that idea, and now he's taking it up. Taking you off on the upper, let's see what happens. Meanwhile, Dartbolt has got a good run on Nathan, coming out of Saint-Devote and up by Rivage. Now we head in towards Massenet and the Casino Square. And you can see here, Dartbolt got a little bit more confidence in the grip of the car.
Yeah, he's really hounding the back of Nathan. It's been like this for the last 4 or 5 laps, I'm going to be honest. And the break really on the back of the Dutchman here. They've pulled away in turn from Legend as well. 6.4 seconds now, the gap. The gap is actually increasing simultaneously as I speak. So Darkbull is on the back of Nathan, but Recon is pulling hand over fist away from these guys. He's 14.5 seconds ahead of Nathan. Darkbull has just got to keep Nathan right on the cusp of making a mistake. Eventually, he might crack.
He might crack, indeed. Killer Blue will be shown some blue flags as he lets the Mercedes through. So he is now a lap down in this race. Lap 31 of 39. We have 10 or 9 to go even in this race. Competition leads. Kalsper second, Recon in third, with Nathan in fourth. We're watching this battle for fourth place here as they make their way through. Anthony Noakes on towards that start-finish straight. A little bit of a sideways moment there for Dartbolt, and that's going to cost him that momentum he would have had going in towards Saint-Devote.
Yeah, a little bit of steering correction from Nathan as well coming through Raskas, and it looked like Dartbolt was trying to set himself up for possibly moving to Saint-Devote, but then he got that kick of oversteer once again. So Nathan now pulls away 5/6 tenths of a second, and honestly doesn't look 6 tenths of a second riding on board a POV shot on TV pod. But honestly, it is, and this is why they've obviously extended the timings between the guys. Might look like it's more, but honestly, it's less. Josh is right on the back of the Legend as well, and he's all of the back coming into the Grand Hotel hairpin.
Absolutely, in towards the hairpin they go, which is obviously not really an overtaking opportunity, although you could convince Sutil otherwise if you really want to. Now we head in towards turn 8, that very tight right-hander, on towards now the tunnel. This time around I don't think Legend has any front wing damage to the car. No, he doesn't. So Josh is going to have to do this the hard way, very close to the left-hand side of the wall there. In the tunnel is Josh. Bit of a lock-up going in towards the Nouvelle chicane as well, but manages to keep it in check. Josh here is just going to try and put Legend under a little bit of pressure, because to be honest with you, other than a mistake from Legend, this is going to be very tough for Josh to get past.
Yeah, the more that Josh puts Legend under pressure, the more likely he is to make that mistake. So I think Josh has just got to keep him quite honest. He's got to watch out for his ERS though. He is using up his overtake mode, I think, down the straight, as you see it here in deployment. But look at his ERS just go whittling down to pretty much 1%, even touching 0 at one point there, down in towards Saint-Devote. So Josh has just got to be careful with his ERS management as he fights the car all out of control, coming through full Ravage. How on earth he recovered that is beyond me, but Josh still in 7th and still handing the back of Legend.
Absolutely. Oh, that is Legend who's tapped the wall there. I think he's got away with damage there.
Yeah.
How on earth did that happen?
Rear left tyre, I think, touched the wall. Oh, Josh is into the back of him.
Josh has hit him there in towards the hairpin, but again, doesn't look like there's any damage to that front wing. These two are very, very lucky that they've still got their front wing intact. And look at Dobby lurking in the distance here. Meanwhile, a battle ahead of them as well. Don't forget about Nathan and Dartbolt battling away for 4th place here. Both of them really matching each other for pace, but of course it is Monaco. Those walls get ever closer the faster you go. It is so, so tricky to keep this within the walls here. Track limits? What track limits? There really isn't any. There's no room for error. No margin for error either. You've got to be perfect all the way through to get a good result here. Josh, meanwhile, on the back of Legend again. A little bit of wheel spin halfway through the last part of the swimming pool section there as we head in towards Raskas, up that slight incline, in towards Anthony Nogues, over the crest and onto that start-finish straight. You can see here Josh is really trying to harvest that ERS energy because once it drops below 10% in the battery, it deploys at half the rate it normally would, no matter what setting you're in. So that's why he's got to try and save that ERS battery up as much as he possibly can.
And he's looking for the move up here in towards Massenet, but he's not close enough. He's just got to be very careful. He's actually using overtake mode up to try and get a move down in towards Miracle, but I don't think this is going to work. Yeah, he's going to really have to harvest his ERS here. It's 11%. He's using overtake mode in the positions of the track where you won't normally use it. Another love tap there from Josh on the back of Legend. I like who's joined the queue. Dobby. He's using his ears to good effect there.
Yeah, and ERS, of course.
Terrible.
Well, I see ERS is much easier to harvest in the wet weather conditions because, of course, you're slower, so that means you're having to brake earlier, therefore you're harvesting more energy. So, in essence, it's easier to manage your ERS there as Josh clips the curb on the outside, locks up heading in there and somehow slows that car down in time. Perpetum is on lap 34. He's going through turn 8 and onwards towards the tunnel. Such is his pace here. Legend is now got a 3-second time penalty. I don't think that's his first for tonight either, as he gets a little bit sideways on the exit of that swimming pool section. In towards Raskas we go once again around Anthony Nogues and on towards the start-finish straight. Can Josh keep it in check this time around? A little bit of a tail out there on the exit there, pretty much halfway through the exit of the corner as he put the power down. The back end said, no, you're having a laugh, and just stepped out on him there.
Chance.
But this is a chance then. Up by Rivage, surely not around the outside.
Way.
No, it's Legend. Oh, that's his Josh into the
way.
wall. Well, Legend there. Well, the door was never open for Josh there, as he now has to pull over to the side. He's got front wing damage. We're trying to see some sort of outboard camera to see what the extent of the damage actually is. And it is, yes, it is right hand side damage. And Josh there just too eager. There was no move on for Legend there. He just didn't open the door in the first place.
And that's why you don't listen to me to try and get a move done around the outside of Massenet in these conditions.
No. I keep telling you, James, that Massenet is not an overtaking opportunity, but, you know, there we go. Anyway.
I'm determined.
Dartbolt and Nathan, meanwhile, battling over 4th place. Nathan has done really well to keep a hold of this 4th place in this race, and I tell you something, he's doing a really good job out there of just keeping this on the track. More than anything, that's a good way to get a good result. Okay, he might be 25 seconds behind 3rd place. Okay, he might be 47 seconds behind our race leader, but you know what? He's kept it on the track. He's only kissed the wall once with front wing damage, and now he's in a really good spot to get some really good points for himself and for Red Bull.
And the last couple of laps seem to me as if he's beginning to try and pull away from Darkbolt as well. So it looks like he might be getting a little bit of more pace out of that. Yes, he's only on one lap older tyres than Darkbolt, who's behind him. And I'm above with Darkbolt coming through Massenet. And he is catching through this section of corners. But down the straights, Nathan just looks totally and utterly in control of that car. The Red Bull beginning to pull away. And maybe he's trying to channel his inner Max Verstappen.
Well, maybe he is. I have to be honest with you. I didn't see that coming. But anyway, there is a good chance that this race can go to the wire, especially for these two, 4th and 5th place. So obviously we'll have to wait and see how that goes towards the end of this race. But lap 36 then, 4 laps to go for Perpetum, 3 and a bit if you're picky, as he leads this race by 6.8 seconds ahead of Kalsper. Recon then in 3rd place. He had to make a front wing change around about 6 or 7 laps to go to change a front wing. He's on fresh tyres, but that's why he's 22 seconds back from his teammate. Nathan in 4th with Dartbolt in 5th, Legend 6th, Dobby 7th, Josh with a huge amount of front wing damage. I think he's just going to try and nurse that car to the end of this race, with Killer Blue in 9th, 23 seconds down on Josh, but he is behind the race leader. He is a lap down.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Dobby was catching Legend up until he made a mistake out of the Novell chicane. So Dobby was catching Legend. It's 1.2 seconds the gap. It was about 0.6 of a second. So that gap obviously has doubled in length. Darkbolt, though, was on the back of Nathan. How on earth are these guys still 4 tenths away from each other? They've literally been glued together. It's like Monaco trying to hang on to France for its freedoms, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. It's been great battling between them. That's the thing. They have been absolutely stuck to each other for the whole race. No matter if they've had to come into the pit lane, either of them, they've both had to visit the pit lane for repairs, and they're still battling each other out on track. It is fantastic to see. 3 laps to go, 2 and a bit if you're picky, as Josh has just come into the pit lane to put on a, well, I would say a fresh set of inters, but I don't think they're a fresh set anymore. I think they're a used set, but he's already used this race to get himself now to the end of this race. But there you can see Nathan is just trying to stay ahead of Dartbolt wherever possible here. That's a great camera angle as we run down the hill in towards the Nouvelle chicane, just looking backwards from Nathan there as Dartbolt does his best to try and just find a way past. And Monaco here is just so challenging to find a way through.
Yeah, I'm watching the battle in behind as well. Legend's so close to the wall. Dobby is right on the back of Legend as well. And he's keeping him really honest at this point. The Haas is looking quicker than the Alfa Romeo. And again, he's on 2-lap pressure tyres than Legend ahead. But Dobby, he's got to make a move stick. Well, he's making the move stick because he's into the pit lane.
Yeah, Legend coming into the pits. I wonder if this is A, change of front wing, and B, a chance to go for the fastest lap of this race. Remember, any driver can go for the fastest lap of the race. And it is just a tyre change then for the Alfa Romeo, and away he goes. So that's a fresh set of tyres he's got there. So he's come in, fresh set of tyres, low fuel. He'll surely now try and go for that fastest lap, but it's a big task.
It's a massive task, and I mean, the fastest lap is 21.3, Legend's 24.1 personal best. So he's got 3 seconds to find for the fastest lap alone. That's a big ask.
It is indeed, but there's a big ask, but there's also a chance. Oh, as Dartbolt loses it there in the tunnel, somehow keeps it away from the wall. I said there was no margin for error. Okay, there's a very, very finite margin of error, and I think Dartbolt was just about operating in that window. Any more out of control and he would have hit that wall, but his heart rate would have gone up just a tiny bit there as he's still trying to chase down Nathan. Still only 6/10 behind, I have to say. Dartbolt there, if you're going to make any mistakes during a race, that's the kind of one you want to make. They're ones you can easily recover from.
Yeah, he's got to turn up the pressure now on Nathan as well. 4.5 tenths of a second. Dartbolt has got ERS to use up. He's got his overtake mode to use up. I think use it, get onto the back of him, force him into a mistake, E4 is yours. It's as simple as that. He's been waiting so long, he's pretty much been glued to him for the entire second half of this race. He needs to make it stick, and make it stick now.
Well, Papetum then will start the final lap of this race in the lead. He's 5 seconds clear so far of Kalsper. That gap has been coming down, but obviously it's not coming down at a rate that's quick enough for Kalsper to try and take full advantage of Papetum here, just trying to lead the way. Recon picking up 3-second time penalty here, but I don't think that's going to affect him too much in this race. Comparing where he is, he's 20 seconds ahead of anybody else, he's 20 seconds behind of anybody else. He's just really in that no-man's land position as Dartbolt just losing a little bit of ground on Nathan there. You can see with the fastest lap times on the screen right now, Papetum still at the top of that table. 21.3, very close to the wall there on the left-hand side.
To back! Down the inside, get off! Both of them get end plate damage. 2 into 1, doesn't go. To be honest, I think Doff will have the car ahead before they make contact. Very interesting one.
Well, they're going to be nursing that one to the finish. I reckon they won't come into the pits. They'll surely try and go to the end of this race. Oh, Papetum's hit the wall at Tabac. Papetum hitting the wall. He's only got a teacher on the front of that car now. I was going to say it's been relatively easy for him, but he makes a mistake on the final lap of this race as he comes round the final corner now. Through Anthony Noakes he goes, and towards the start-finish line, Papetum will win the Monaco Grand Prix with a raised heart rate at the end there. Papetum wins. The fantastic win for him. Kalsper across the line in second place there. Well, Papetum making that very, very late mistake there. So close to ending that race there and then. Just 21.9, not quite enough from him to get that fastest lap of the race. I think Papetum is going to hold on to this one. As we see here, we've got instants up and down the track at the moment. Dartbolt and Nathan coming together, or again, I should say, as Nathan trying to get that car through, and he's lost that entire front wing now, but he just needs to get it to the end. He'll get 6th place. There is Recon then, leaving a set of 11s behind him as he crosses the line to take 3rd place in this race. Darkbolt then, well, he might be under investigation at the end of this race. I think that will go to the stewards. We'll leave that decision with them. In the meantime, though, he's going to take 4th place out on track as he makes his way in towards Raskas and towards that final corner at Anthony Nogues. And Nathan there taking a 3-second time penalty. I mean, he's got no front wing. I'd be a little bit lenient on him for that one. But Darkbolt heading towards the line then. He weaves across to take 4th place then. Dobby finishes the race in 5th place. Great result for the Haas driver there. And we now just await for Nathan to limp his way across the line, as he's got no front wing. He's got a puncture as well on the rear left. So I think that's contact with the wall rather than anything else. Just keep it out of the wall, Nathan. You've still got to get the checkered flag in order to get those points. Slowly does it. Just take your time, Nathan, as he makes his way now towards that checkered flag. He'll be wanting that one all this lap here. But your race winner for the Monaco Grand Prix, it's pole position, it's the race win, it's the fastest lap, it's a grand slam for Perpetuum here at Monaco. Driver of the day is Darkbolt. Imagine making a mistake on the final lap of the race as the race leader and still coming home to win the race. Well, that's exactly what happened to Perpetuum. A slight mark on that very, very awesome drive from him at the Monaco Grand Prix. As I said before, fastest lap of the race, pole position, and the race win, which means it is the maximum points, 33 points for himself there, as he takes the win here at the Monaco Grand Prix. Don't forget as well the Ferraris taking 2nd and 3rd place in this race. Recon obviously hitting the wall midway through this race, damaging his front wing, but in any case it's still Ferrari 2-3, and actually Ferrari scored more constructors points with Josh finishing all the way down the field. But your unofficial results then for the Monaco Grand Prix that went on for nearly an hour. Perpetuum takes the win from pole position and sets the fastest lap in doing so. Kalsper in 2nd with Recon in 3rd. It's Darkbolt in 4th with Dobby in 5th. Nathan limping across the line in 6th place. Legend a lap down in 7th, as is Blue and Josh M down there in 9th place. Only time this season so far that Josh has been off the podium. Carlsbury, Yaram and Venom not finishing the race, and the 2 Venom incidents were the only instance we saw that safety car. Well, that brings an end to the Monaco Grand Prix. Don't forget, next round will be at the Canadian Grand Prix, one of my favourite tracks on the entire calendar. Make sure you don't miss that one either. But James, as Monaco Grand Prix go, that wasn't too bad.
That wasn't too bad at all. I was honestly expecting quite a war of attrition. We got half a war of attrition, I think. We had Perpetuum, obviously, with that raised heart rate right at the end of the race. He did take the win, Kalsper 2nd, Recon in 3rd. And if you were following my prediction, yeah, well, let's just forget about that.
Yeah, James and predictions. Name an unhealthier match. But I have to say, as Monaco Grand Prix go, I think that was a pretty good one, to be honest with you. Rain added into the mix as well. Just makes it even tougher for the drivers out there. But Monaco at night, I mean, it's done and dusted now. The one of the worst tracks for these drivers on the calendar is over. We now head to the Canadian Grand Prix next time around. Don't forget the schedule then. If you still want to see some more Monaco action, Monaco is right on our lips. Division 2 and 3, don't forget, Wednesday. And then, of course, Thursday. Tomorrow is Wednesday, which is the Formula 2 at Austria. I've got my dates mixed up. I used to be on Thursday. That's why I'm getting mixed up. Thursday, you can check out Division 2 and Division 3 with the lovely James heading the field in Division 2 for that commentary box with Paco Suarez, I do believe. And don't forget on Friday as well, Division 4 and 5 for the Monaco Grand Prix to round off tonight's open wheel racing. Don't forget as well, we've got competitive racing competition. Competitive racing, CRC. Yeah, I got that right, didn't I?
Competitive Racing Club.
That's the one. That's the C I needed. Yes, it's the LMP3s on Saturday, don't forget, and then IndyCar on Sunday. But, well, I have to say, James, Canada is next. I love Canada.
Oh, it should be much better, I think, for overtaking. Obviously, Canada is one of those fabled tracks. I really hope. Honestly, we could see the rest of the season.
Well, there you go then. As James predicts every race is race of the season. You don't want to miss the Canadian Grand Prix. Make sure as well you're subscribing to the channel. Hit the notification bell. That's the one I wanted. To make sure you don't miss another stream. 554 subscribers. So thank you very much. We're on the road to 1,000. Make sure you help us get there by subscribing. Remember as well to follow the league on Twitter at TTML_F1. The link is also in the description of the video down below. And hopefully you'll join us next time. If you liked what you heard in the commentary box, you can follow myself, Kira McGinley, and James Head in the box on Twitter. Our links are down below as well. But James, it's been a pleasure. Monaco always delivers a race. It might have been a race of attrition, but a race nonetheless.
Yeah, it should be fantastic, and I've got 2 doses to come Thursday and Friday. I can't wait.
Lucky you. Just don't make sure you don't get the exact picture of me hitting the wall for the umpteenth time. I'd really appreciate it.
I'll try not to.
See, I don't like try. Do or do not. There is no try. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I've been Kieran McGinley.
I've been James Head.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.
Show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.